Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and today we're going to be going over the 2019 Chevy Suburban. Now this particular Suburban is the Premier trim, and it is finished in Summit White, which is absolutely beautiful in the sunlight here. As always, a big shout out and thank you to Larry H. Miller Chevrolet of Murray, Utah for providing us with the vehicle. If you're on the market for a new Chevy, check these guys out. We're gonna do a quick walk around on the Suburban, then we're gonna take it out to see how it drives. Under the hood here, we have a naturally aspirated 6.2 liter V8 that goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission. In terms of fuel economy, 14 around town, 20 on the highway. You can get that 5.3 liter V8, but the 6.2 is the one to go for because power outputs are 420 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque. Now wrapping things up front, we can see again, like I said, finished in Summit White on the paint. And then we can see the projector bulbs just down below. You can see little fog lamps right there. Parking sensors on the front, blacked out Chevy bow tie, and it's got these nice chrome accents on the front. So it's all tied together pretty well with this whole front. And this is definitely signature with the Suburbans. And then the, where are they? Tahoes as well, right there. Around the side here, we have these 22-inch polished rims on 285mm tires for the front and the rear. And definitely with an SUV that's as big as the Suburban, you're gonna need bigger rims to fit with it. And 22s, I think that's the route to go with because this fills the wheel well out perfectly. And then note Suburban logo. So out back here, here's the key fob for the Suburban. So you press that, that'll lock it. You got your unlock function. You hold this down, that's for your remote start. So you can press that. You hear that 6.2 liter come to life, and then if you press it again, that'll shut it off. And then the other function you can see right here is you got one to open up the window and then one to open up the tailgate. We're gonna do the tailgate function, but you can open up just that window if you want. And back here, we can see why you would go for the Suburban. There is a ton of room, so the third row is folded down, but you have all of this storage space back here. That's why people get these Suburbans, is because you get third row seating, but then you also get tons of storage space as well. And you actually can see that you can fold down the seats via these buttons. So you can press these to fold down the seats, or you can press them to pick the seats back up. That is amazing you can do that, but yeah, you can see just how much storage space. Space, guys, tons of space. And the button to lower the tailgate's kind of hidden. It's just that little rubber button right there. You can see the backup camera. And then again, blacked out Chevy bow tie, looks really cool. Suburban, Premier, and then you've got the taillights right here. Parking sensors in the rear, and then you've got your little tow package under that bezel. Now I've got keyless entry here, so one touch to lock it, and then one touch to unlock it right there. And then we can see the door panel for the rear, so you got a little bit of wood trim right here. You've got leather with the stitching. It's actually pretty soft, feels nice. And then more leather with stitching up here. You've got your little window control right there with the cup holder, more storage under here. Now this interior, I love it. So it's got this beautiful brown leather with some contrasted stitching in it. The seats actually feel and look really nice. Captain chairs in the center here. And then you can see that third row can fit 3 people actually. And then we've got a little center stack down here. So you've got heated seats for this captain chair setup. There is a climate in the third row, and then there's some storage charging stations. And then you do get a little DVD TV player up there. And then you can see vents all throughout the ceiling, and then another DVD player for the third row. So spoil your kids with this, and then more vents just all throughout the interior. Now same keyless entry up here for the front, so one touch to lock and then one touch to unlock, and then there are running boards here on the Suburban, so getting in and out is a little bit easier. Here's the door panel for the front, so more of that wood trim, leather with the stitching. It looks identical to the one in the rear. You have all of your window controls right here, your mirror controls, and then the function for the memory seats is right there, and then your speaker, door lock and unlock with the door handle. And then here's the seats for the front. You see there that you've got all of your power adjustments on these seats right there, and then the seats in the front look identical to the ones in the rear. So that same beautiful brown leather with the contrasted stitching. And then we can see the pedal layout just below. That's for your hood release, that's your parking brake. And then we have all of our light controls over here. And then you can see right here, you've got your shifter for the 2-wheel high auto, 4-wheel high, and then 4-wheel low. Trailer brake controls are already integrated. And then you have adjustments for the pedals right here. And then you have some safety tech, so lane departure assistance, stability control, and then that's for your parking sensors. And then note that the steering wheel is power adjustable. Start up Suburban, just put your foot on the brake, push the push start, and then the gauges will do a sweep. It'll start it up. Getting in and out is actually pretty easy, especially with those running boards. A bunch of controls here on the steering wheel. So we've got all our controls for the center stack right there. We've got our Bluetooth phone controls, heated steering wheel controls right here. That's for your collision warning system, turn it on or off, and then your cruise controls right over on the side. And then you have rocker panels on the back of the steering wheel to change the radio stations. has a column shifter, and it's actually really easy to use. You can manually shift the gears if you want with that 10-speed automatic, and then you've got your trailer tow mode, and then you have your regular stock over here for the windshield wipers, turn signal, all of that. And in the gauge cluster here, we have our tachometer over on the left side. On the right hand side, we've got the speedo, and then you can see that there's all these little menus that you can scroll through on the Suburban, so it gives you a bunch of different information on the Suburban. Pretty configurable, pretty standard for the car industry nowadays. Now we've got the infotainment system right here, and it is a touchscreen, but you do get analog buttons as well, so you can use either or, whatever you prefer, but really responsive, really easy to use. Infotainment system comes with navigation, all that. So for example, if you go in the nav function, you can see what that looks like. But pretty standard setup now in the industry, just touchscreen, works good and looks good. We have our analog controls for the radio and the touchscreen right here, and then we've got our dual zone climate controls. There is a climate in the rear, so you can control that right here, and you actually can lock the rear climate if you don't want the kids to mess with that. Heated ventilated seats up front. I've got the ventilated seats because it's pretty warm outside actually. And then you can see here we've got some charging stations, got the keys in the cup holders right there, and then we have this little center thing right here, wireless charging on top. So if we open up the console, we can see that that's actually got the headphones and all that for the TVs. But anyways, extra storage under here, and we're on the topic of storage. Let's go over to the glove box. If we pop in that, we can see it's a pretty normal sized glove box. Has some nice leather and stitching just above it. So we have just a traditional sunroof. The TVs would get in the way of having more sunroofs back there, but just a regular sunroof. And then we've got some sunglass holder, and there's a little mirror so you can see the kids back there. But we've got the controls for the sunroof up here, and then you have your regular light controls up there as well. Pretty standard setup. And then note that there's a little speaker here for the Bluetooth. The window sticker, of course, is backwards. But anyways, this Suburban stickers for about $81,000 before any sort of market adjustment. Just give you guys an idea on that. That all being said though, let's take the 2019 Suburban out. Hopefully we don't get stranded because it's almost out of gas, for a drive to see how this handles. So I was gonna say we're setting off in the Suburban, but I forgot to go over the backup camera in the walk-around portion. So there's your backup camera, guys. Sorry about that, I'm a moron. Anyways, oh, we don't want to go into low. Let's actually set off here in the Suburban to see how this drives. So let's talk about visibility first and foremost, and perfect, there's a red light, so we can go over this. You can see over the hood, it just pretty much abruptly ends, and then you can see through both of the mirrors, it's good, and you do get blind spot monitoring, which is gonna help with the mirrors. And then you can see over the shoulder is decent as well. Those big windows back there, so that helps out, and you guys can kind of hopefully see through the rear view mirror to see that. And then over the other shoulder, it's decent overall. So visibility in this is actually pretty good, even though it's such a long SUV. Now, in terms of road noise and ride quality, it's super, super smooth road noise wise. I mean, you really just don't hear like anything coming into the cabin, and then it just, I don't know how to explain, like it just rides so smooth. And that's what is a key characteristic with these very large SUVs, is they're just kind of like land yachts almost. That's like the best way for me to describe it. Turning here, it turns a little bit wide. That was kind of expected since it's such a large SUV, but the steering is pretty direct, so you can see there's just a little bit of play, but in general the steering is pretty direct. It's normal for an SUV. And this is what I'm talking about. You can see me going over the little sewer holes and don't really hear that much from it. And even though this has those massive 22-inch rims, it rides so smooth, which you just don't really expect that with a vehicle that has such big rims and, you know, a little bit lower profile tires. They usually ride rougher. We're gonna get an acceleration here with the Suburban to see how it accelerates. Yeah, and you can see that it accelerates very adequately. I mean, it just gets up to speed right away, and that was expected with this big 6.2 liter naturally aspirated V8, 420 pound-feet of torque and 460 horsepower. That's a lot. So more than enough power. The 5.3, I still think that's enough. It would feel a little bit sluggish, so what I would say for you guys is if you can afford the 6.2 liter, get that option on this. Now, to sum things up on the Suburban, where this kind of stands, there's not a whole lot of SUVs in this segment. You've got the Cadillac, which is another Chevy product, and then GMC Yukon. another Chevy product. Toyota Land Cruiser, kind of, to an extent. It's not as long of a wheelbase, so there's just, I mean, there are some other vehicles, but there's just not a lot in this category that just has long wheelbase like this. This really is like a people mover. And so that's what I'd say is, if you need a lot of space for people and you want towing capability like a truck, and you want decent cargo space behind the third row, the Suburban's the route to go. It is spendier, but you're kind of getting two vehicles in one almost. You're almost getting a truck and an SUV and combining them into one, because it's got good towing capabilities and it has a ton of storage space. So if you're in the market for a larger size SUV slash truck type thing, right, check out the Suburban. There we have it, everyone, the 2019 Chevy Suburban Premier. Thank you everyone so much for watching. If you're stopping for the first time, I would really appreciate if you would subscribe, comment down below what you thought, and then again, a big shout out and thank you to Larry H. Miller Chevy here in Murray, Utah, for providing us with the Suburban. If you're on the market for a new Chevy, check these guys out. I'll see all of you in that next video.